Hello, my dear friends. Let me ask you a question that very few doctors ever ask. What is the one part of your health that, if ignored after 60, can quietly make you feel like you're aging twice as fast? And no, I'm not talking about wrinkles, grey hair, or stiff joints. I'm talking about something far more hidden: your intimate health. For decades, society has sent the same message to women after menopause. Intimacy doesn't matter. Pleasure has an expiration date. Desire is something you outgrow. But here's the truth: that message isn't just outdated, it's dangerous. Because when you stop caring for this part of yourself, the effects don't stay down there. They ripple into your circulation, your hormones, your mood, your bladder control, even your sense of identity. I'm Dr. Lisa Perriera, a board-certified gynecologist with more than 30 years of experience caring for women just like you, mothers, grandmothers, caregivers, women who have lived extraordinary lives. And in all those years, I've seen the same quiet pattern: vibrant women slowly losing energy and confidence, not because of illness, but because no one ever told them how essential it is to stay connected to their own bodies. Take Eleanor, one of my patients. She was 72, a joyful grandmother who loved knitting by the window and laughing with her grandkids. But over time, her spark faded. She wasn't sick. Her heart was fine, her blood pressure under control. Yet she felt weaker, sadder, and less herself. The real issue: she had been taught to neglect her intimate health for years, believing it no longer mattered. And she is not alone. Thousands of women experience this same decline, not because of age itself, but because of disuse. Just like a muscle weakens if you never exercise it, your intimate tissues, your circulation, and even your hormones begin to shift if you completely stop engaging with your body. But here's the hopeful news your body can remember. With small, gentle steps, you can restore circulation, improve comfort, and even reignite joy. Later in this video, I'll share the story of Margaret, an 81-year-old woman who once told me she felt invisible, and how one surprising change transformed her life without surgery, without medication. So stay with me. This may be one of the most important conversations you hear all year. Before we continue, let me ask you, has anyone ever explained to you that self-intimacy is directly linked to your health after 60? If yes, finally type 1 in the comments. If no, no one ever told you this, type 0. Your answers will help other women see they are not alone. Think about this for a moment. What happens when you put your arm or leg in a cast for 6 weeks? When the cast comes off, the muscles look smaller, the skin is thinner, and the strength is gone. Not because the muscle was injured, but because it wasn't used. The same principle applies to your intimate tissues. Your vagina and clitoris are not passive structures. They are full of tiny blood vessels and delicate nerves that rely on steady blood flow and gentle stimulation to stay healthy. When that flow stops, when months or years go by without intimacy, the tissues don't just rest. They begin to weaken and stiffen, a process doctors call atrophy. And here's the surprising part: this often doesn't show up first as dryness. For many women, it begins as something subtler, a dulling of sensation, discomfort when sitting, or even a loss of interest in touch. According to the Mayo Clinic and the North American Menopause Society, the absence of regular stimulation after menopause accelerates these changes. Vaginal walls become thinner and less flexible. Clitoral tissue loses sensitivity. Blood flow to the area slows down. Let me tell you about Carol, one of my patients. She was 71, graceful and polite, but when she sat in my office, her voice dropped to a whisper. Perriera. I haven't felt comfortable in my own body for years. I thought something was broken inside me. She wasn't broken. Her tissues had simply adapted to inactivity the same way a stiff joint adapts when it isn't moved. Here's the hopeful part I shared with her, and what I want you to hear clearly today, the body can remember. With small, consistent steps, you can restore circulation, improve elasticity, and reduce discomfort. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine a garden hose lying in the sun. If water runs through it regularly, it stays soft, supple, and flexible. But if it sits unused for months, it stiffens and cracks. When you finally turn the water back on, it sputters. Your intimate tissues work the same way. Regular flow signals keep them alive and flexible. Without them, they resist. So what can you do starting today? Here are a few gentle, practical steps. 1. Moisturize regularly. A pH-balanced vaginal moisturizer 3 to 4 times per week. This isn't a lubricant, it's for long-term comfort. 2. Warmth before connection. A warm bath, heating pad, or even a warm towel over your belly. Heat increases blood flow. 3. Gentle awareness touch. Place your hand on your lower belly or thigh, not with pressure, but simply to remind your nervous system this area still matters. 4. 2-minute rule. Just 2 to 3 minutes of gentle attention 3 times a week. Think of it as circulation maintenance, not performance. And let me reassure you, it is never too late. Even if you haven't done this in years, your body can respond. Nerves and blood vessels are resilient. In fact, a study in the journal Menopause showed that women who maintained even light, regular intimacy, whether with a partner or with themselves, reported fewer symptoms of atrophy and greater comfort than women who stopped completely. So let me ask you, have you noticed any changes like dryness, fading sensation, or discomfort since menopause? If yes, type yes in the comments. If not yet, type no. Your response may give another woman the courage to speak up. Now we've seen how tissues respond to intimacy. But that's just the beginning, because what happens in your body also ripples upward to your brain. And that's where the chemistry of joy and motivation comes in. Stay with me, because in the next part I'll show you how intimacy isn't just about physical comfort, but also about hormones and brain chemistry that protect your mood, your sleep, and even your resilience. We've just talked about how your tissues rely on circulation and gentle use to stay alive. But the story doesn't end there. What happens in your body ripples upward straight to your brain. Because intimacy is not just a physical act, it's a chemical event. Every time you engage with your body through gentle touch arousal, or even a simple hug, your brain releases a cocktail of natural chemicals that affect how you feel, how you sleep, and even how you face stress. Let's break down the 3 most important players. 1. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. It creates feelings of calm, trust, and connection. It lowers cortisol, the stress hormone that leaves you tense and restless. It's the same hormone that surges when a mother cradles her baby, or when you embrace someone you love. 2. Dopamine, the motivation molecule. It's what makes life feel rewarding. Without it, the world can seem grey and uninteresting. With it, you feel energized, looking forward to conversations, hobbies, even simple walks. 3. Endorphins. Your body's natural mood lifters and pain relievers. They reduce discomfort, buffer stress, and give that after exercise glow the same feeling you get from a good laugh with friends. Now imagine what happens when weeks, months, or even years go by without stimulating these pathways. The orchestra grows quiet. The music fades. Instead of harmony, there is silence. And for many women, that silence shows up as irritability, fatigue, restless nights, or even depression. One woman I'll never forget was Linda, a retired school principal in her late 60s. She came into my office with perfect posture and kind eyes, but her voice was heavy. "Dr. Perriera," she whispered, "I just don't feel like me anymore." She had tried vitamins and even antidepressants, but nothing seemed to help. What we uncovered was simple but profound. She had completely stopped engaging with her own body, not because she didn't care, but because she thought her time for intimacy was over. What Linda didn't realize was that she had cut herself off from one of her body's simplest reset buttons. By reintroducing small, gentle habits, she reawakened those brain chemicals, and slowly her spark returned. Science confirms this. Studies in journals like Menopause and Climacteric show that women who maintain some form of intimacy, partnered or self-report, better sleep, lower anxiety and greater resilience compared to those who abstain completely. Why? Because each moment of connection triggers oxytocin, dopamine and endorphins, nudging the brain away from fight or flight and back into rest and restore. Think of it like watering the roots of a garden. Without water, the soil dries and the flowers wilt. With steady, gentle watering, the entire garden revives. Intimacy is one of the ways your body waters the roots of your emotional garden. So how can you start reactivating your body's natural chemistry? Here's a simple 3-step reset. 1. Box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4. Exhale for 4, hold for 4. Do this 4 times. It reduces cortisol and steadies your nervous system. 2. Warmth and intention. Place a hand on your heart or belly and whisper something kind. "I am safe. I matter." This alone can release oxytocin. 3. Gentle, curious touch. Not with a goal, but with awareness. Even 2 to 3 minutes can reactivate those feel-good chemicals. It may sound small, but consistency is powerful. Within weeks, many women notice deeper sleep, fewer mood swings, and a brighter outlook. Linda was one of them. After a few weeks of practicing breathwork and gentle reconnection, she walked into my office with a light in her eyes I hadn't seen before. "I feel more like myself again," she said. "Not suddenly younger, but steady, vibrant, alive." So let me ask you, have you noticed changes in your mood or sleep since menopause, like irritability, fatigue, or restless nights? Do you think they could be linked to this missing piece of your body's chemistry? Share yes or no in the comments. Your honesty may help another woman feel less alone. Now here's something fascinating. Intimacy doesn't only restore your tissues or calm your brain, it also trains a group of muscles that are essential to your freedom and independence. Muscles you use every time you laugh, sneeze, or even stand tall. In the next part, we'll explore the pelvic floor, why it's called the foundation of a woman's body, how intimacy acts like a natural workout for it, and what happens when that foundation weakens. Stay with me, you won't want to miss this. We've explored how intimacy nourishes your tissues and awakens your brain chemistry. But now, let's go deeper to the very foundation of your independence, your pelvic floor. If you've never heard that term before, picture this. Imagine a hammock stretched across the bottom of your pelvis. That hammock is made of muscles. Its job? To hold up your bladder, uterus, and rectum. It also stabilizes your spine, supports your posture, and yes, plays a role in intimate pleasure. When this hammock is strong, you feel steady, confident, and in control. But when it weakens, the effects ripple everywhere. Leakage when you laugh or sneeze, constipation or discomfort, trouble standing tall or walking long distances, and even a loss of intimate sensation. Here's the fascinating part: intimacy itself, especially orgasm, is one of nature's most powerful pelvic floor workouts. During climax, the muscles contract rhythmically, just like lifting weights at the gym. But when intimacy disappears, so does this natural exercise. Over time, the hammock loosens and the foundation weakens. Let me share Joan's story. She was 74, witty and sharp, always ready with a crossword clue. But behind her humour was sadness. She confessed that she hadn't left her home in weeks, not because of illness, but because she was terrified of leaking urine in public. "Every time I laugh, every time I sneeze," she said, "I feel humiliated." She believed nothing could be done, that it was simply old age. But when I examined her and we discussed her habits, it was clear her pelvic floor had been neglected for years. She hadn't exercised it, and she hadn't engaged it through intimacy either. Together, we built a gentle plan. Simple pelvic floor exercises, Kegels, staying hydrated to keep tissues supple, improving bowel regularity with fibre and movement, and gradually reintroducing self-intimacy to awaken those hidden muscles. Within a few months, Joan's life transformed. She began walking with friends again, laughing without fear, even planning a trip to see her sister out of state. When she looked at me and said, "I feel free again," her eyes sparkled. That word freedom is exactly why this matters. Because what's at stake isn't just physical health. It's your independence, your confidence, and your ability to live life on your own terms. Now let me give you a starter routine you can try at home. It takes just 2 to 3 minutes, twice a day. 1. Find the muscles. Imagine stopping urine midstream or holding back gas. That's your pelvic floor. But don't practice on the toilet. It can confuse your bladder. 2. Slow squeezes. Tighten for 5 seconds, relax for 5 seconds, repeat 5 times. 3. Quick flicks. At the end, do 3 to 4 short squeezes. These help with sudden stress, like coughing. 4. Posture check. Sit or stand tall. Jaw relaxed. Yes, your jaw and pelvic floor are connected. And here's something empowering: intimacy reinforces all of this. Even gentle arousal a few times a week naturally engages the pelvic floor, toning it without feeling like exercise. The National Institutes of Health confirms that women who maintain pelvic floor activity through exercise or healthy intimacy have lower risks of urinary incontinence and pelvic organ prolapse. That means fewer leaks, less discomfort, and more freedom. Think of your pelvic floor like the foundation of a house. If the foundation weakens, the walls crack and the roof sags. But if it stays strong, the house stands tall through storms and years. You are that house, and your pelvic floor is the base. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, "But Dr. Perriera, isn't it too late for me?" Absolutely not. I have seen women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s rebuild strength and confidence through these simple steps. Your body is remarkably responsive, no matter your age. So here's a little challenge for you: the next time you laugh, sneeze, or cough, pay attention. Do you feel your pelvic floor engage, or does it feel weak? That awareness is the very first step to rebuilding. And as you practice, remember, intimacy isn't just about pleasure. It's about freedom. It's about being able to laugh without fear, to travel without worry, to live without embarrassment. But there's still one more layer we need to uncover, the most tender human layer of all. Because intimacy is not only about tissues, hormones, or muscles. It's about how you see yourself. It's about identity joy, and whether you still feel alive in your own skin. In the next part, I'll share the story of Gloria, a 69-year-old woman who told me I smile for everyone else, but inside I feel grey. And I'll show you how reconnecting with her body restored not just her health, but her spirit. Stay with me, because this may be the most powerful part of our journey. We've talked about tissues, we've talked about hormones, we've talked about the pelvic floor. But now we arrive at the deepest layer of all, how you see yourself. Because intimacy is not only about circulation or muscles. It's about identity. It's about whether you still feel alive in your own skin, whether you still recognize the woman smiling back at you in the mirror. Too many women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond describe the same quiet shift, not illness, not a diagnosis, just a slow fading. They tell me I feel invisible, I feel grey, I don't feel like me anymore. That's what happens when connection to your own body disappears. It isn't just physical strength you lose, it's something deeper, your sense of vitality, femininity, and belonging to yourself. Let me tell you about Gloria. She was 69, widowed, disciplined, and by all appearances thriving. She ate well, walked daily, volunteered at her church. From the outside, she was doing everything right. But when she sat in my office, tears welled in her eyes. I smile for everyone else, she said, but inside I feel grey. She hadn't touched her own body in years. Not out of shame, but out of habit. She had simply stopped. And that absence dulled her spirit. She avoided mirrors not because of vanity, but because she no longer recognized the woman she saw. So we began small, placing her hand over her heart during slow breaths, resting her palms on her belly in quiet moments, moisturizing her arms and legs with intention as an act of kindness instead of routine. And something remarkable happened. Within weeks, she began dressing in brighter colors. She laughed more easily. She even joined an art class she had been too shy to try. One day, she looked at me and said, "I feel like myself again for the first time in years." And then there was Margaret, the 81-year-old woman I mentioned earlier. From the outside, she looked fulfilled gardening book club friends. But inside, she confessed, "I feel like I'm living from the neck up." She wasn't sick. She wasn't depressed. She just felt incomplete. With gentle encouragement, Margaret began to explore her body again, not with urgency, not with performance, but with tenderness. Slowly, patiently. 3 months later, she came into my office with a light in her eyes and said, "Dr. Perriera, I don't feel young again, but I feel real again." That is the essence of this conversation. Intimacy is not about turning back the clock. It is about reclaiming your wholeness. When a woman reconnects with herself, her posture shifts, her laughter returns, her spirit glows. And here's what I want every woman listening to take to heart. There is no expiration date on your right to joy. No birthday makes you less deserving of pleasure. No number erases your worth. You are not past your prime. You are evolving. You are adapting. And you are allowed to thrive. So where can you begin if you've felt disconnected? Start with small, sacred steps. Take 3 deep breaths with your hand on your chest. Say something kind to yourself in the mirror. Moisturize slowly with appreciation for every inch of skin that has carried you through life. Stroke your own cheek as though comforting a loved one. These acts may seem small, but they are powerful signals to your brain and body: I am still here. I still belong to me. And if you feel ready, you can reintroduce intimacy, not as a chore, not as an obligation, but as a gift to your circulation, your hormones, your pelvic muscles, and your soul. A gift that says, I am still worthy. So here is my invitation to you. If today's conversation stirred something inside, you don't keep it silent. Leave a comment below. Write, I'm still here, if you're ready to reclaim your connection. Share your story, your questions, your hopes. When you speak these truths, you create a circle of support for every woman who has ever felt alone. And please share this video with a sister, a daughter, or a friend. You never know who may be quietly carrying the same questions, the same struggles, the same longing for reconnection. At Elder Care Wellness, we believe women deserve honest, compassionate conversations about aging, conversations that honor not just your body, but your soul. So take a deep breath, place your hand over your heart, and remember this: you are still here, you are still alive, and you still deserve joy. And before we close, let me remind you this video is for educational purposes only. It does not replace medical advice. Every woman's body is unique. If you are experiencing pain, significant changes, or have personal concerns, please consult with your healthcare provider. Your well-being deserves personalized care.